Show. That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks, to a Notre Dame destroys Army and is one game away from a miraculous comeback from week 2 and, let's be honest, hosting a playoff game in South Bend. Until this weekend or last weekend or whatever the latest rankings, I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to navigate up. You look at all the carnage that happened around the country. Notre Dame, if they beat USC, is going to host a home playoff game in South Bend. Edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, thanks for being here. You can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Get a video thumbs up. Notifications on that way you don't miss nothing. Twitter, search bar Always Irish, or at Always Irish Inc. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want it. You can get it if you don't want to see my face. Nobody blames it for that. Call in lines 312-988-15. Dial it up. Tell Uncle Johnny all you've heard and seen. Notre Dame Fighting Irish, brought to you by Sports Illustrated. Read all about it. We got articles for you every day. Patreon.com/Always Irish. He a former captain. He a leading tackler. Mike Goolsby and myself with Jared Clark, by the way, breaking it all down behind the paywall. Thanks to everybody that's there. Monday Night Raw coming up. All right. What a great day for Notre Dame football, folks. Just what a great day. If Notre Dame would have dominated Army the way it did, and all the other games were chalky with, no upsets, no surprises, no Alabama, no Ole Miss, no, none of this stuff. Even if none of this stuff would happen, you would have been like, it's a great day for Notre Dame. You got all this chaos now. Notre Dame's sitting pretty. And I am really starting to think maybe Notre Dame could have one of their best years in recent vintage when they've spent most of the year flying right under the radar. After week 2, everybody wrote this team off. I had my doubts that they weren't going to lose again. Like, it just looked bad. The team, it felt like you were waiting for the other shoe to drop right on your head for the middle part of this schedule. You're waiting for some bad to happen. The Northern thing, it took up so many, it ate up so much goodwill and took the trust out of the people. You got to build that all back and build it all back. And you did that week by week. The media ignored Notre Dame for like 6 weeks. Everybody wrote them off after Northern, and they just kept winning, but everybody kept writing them off. And before you know it, look at us now. They're 1 win away. So it is not lost on me that in a year where Notre Dame fans aren't like out there on social media crowing about how great we are and we're dominant and like we're not chirping or anything, you had to fly under the radar and build your way back up in the rankings or whatever. Maybe this is going to be one of Notre Dame's best opportunities to do something rather than one of these years where we're cocky or feel good about it, because that hasn't worked for us. So maybe this is the way to do it. Totally fly under the radar and come back up and surprise people. And I got news for you. This Notre Dame team is trending up in late November. Do you know how rare that is? Remember, a lot of old Notre Dame teams have run out of gas. You get into November and the conditioning and they're too thin and they don't have the depth. Their guys are dropping like flies. You don't have that. This team is trending up to end November. That is exactly what you want. That is exactly what you want. And so I think 2 things are true here as we get into this Army game specifically. I think 2 things are true here. Number 1, Notre Dame's a really good football team, playing really good football, trending up. They're not perfect, but they're a really good team, playing really good football, trending up. That's true. I believe that. And you've been doing it against a bunch of teams that are not that great. I think both of those are completely accurate and true and fair to say, and they don't contradict one another or nothing. I think that's what we have going on here. This team is maturing and growing. Their head coach is maturing and growing. And you're beating the hell out of people week after week. It's just, you haven't played a bunch of good teams in the middle part of the schedule. But that doesn't mean you're not playing good football. It just means you're not beating a bunch of great teams or good teams. So I think both of those things are true at the same time. Getting into this Army game, I had question of whether I was selling them short or maybe I was being a jerk. I wrote an article, I think it went out Friday morning, saying Notre Dame needs to respect Army, but not too much. That was the title of my article for SI. And it was all about respecting their undefeated record and the way they run the ball or this and that or whatever. And like understanding they're undefeated, and you got to be careful about this. But then I went over their schedule and Lehigh and UAB and Tulsa and all these teams in North Texas. And I said, I'm going to give them respect, but only to a certain point, because I do not trust their stats when I look at who they played. They had the number 2 defense in the whole country, and Notre Dame's is 3 and Ohio State's is 1st. 2 of those look a lot different than the other one. So I feel vindicated that I was accurate on my assessment of respect them, but only to a certain point. The reality is Notre Dame's just way too fast, athletic, and deep for this team. And this is the result it should have been. Because these guys are not D1 athletes on scholarship. They're in the Army. Okay? Now, maybe some of them could do that and be at that level, but you get what I'm saying. They're not there to be a D1 athlete. They're there for the Army. But Notre Dame was just way too fast and athletic for them, and that was it. And it was apparent early. And so that's really, really good to see. Here's the number one thing that's jumping out to me. Notre Dame's defense is rolling. Notre Dame's defense is rolling. You had that. What did they have that stat? Takeaways, 26, first in the country in takeaways. They play with confidence. They play fast. They play downhill. They fly around. They play with swag, but they back it up. They're taking the ball away. They're doing everything you could ask of defense to do. 2012 keeps coming up in a comparison of a year where you love the defense, but you're kind of nervous about Notre Dame's offense at times or whatever, but the defense is good. This defense is so much faster and more athletic and deeper. It ain't even funny than that one in 2012. Even though it did only end up giving up 9.5 points per game average, which is, I don't know if this one's going to get that low. But you know what else too? Think about this. For those that want to nitpick on that average you give up per game, 2012 was full of games that went down to the wire that were close. A bunch of the games were one-score games that year. When you're in garbage time, you're going to give up some points in the back end that you don't care about in these games. And that's raising the defense's average of points they're giving up. But it's a good thing because it's all backups. So that's my number one takeaway. This defense is flying around. They're fast and they're physical. Do you have concerns against the very best offensive line you could run out? A big old Georgia O-line where everybody's 330 plus. Do you worry up front about stopping the run, some of the run fit stuff? Maybe you do or whatever. But it is hard for me to think Notre Dame would not be able to hang with anybody they play with in the playoffs with this caliber defense. Can't get enough unfiltered Notre Dame football talk? Be sure to go over to patreon.com/alwaysirish. Former captain Mike Goolsby and myself. Do that. Screw it.
Oh, we never won anything. It's been 30 years.
And there doesn't seem to be one team head and shoulders above everybody else. Like a dominant Bama team that's way better than everybody, or the Georgia teams that were, or when Dabo had it going at Clemson, it was clear they were the best team and had Lawrence and that D-line and those receivers. There's nobody like that. There's been periods of time where Texas looks like the best team in the country, or then Oregon or whatever. But every time you think that about a team, they end up playing a game that makes you think they're human. So if you're going to play this caliber defense, then I think Notre Dame could play with anybody. So that's what I think about that. Offensively, listen, I know it's not against great teams, but it is good to see Notre Dame throwing the ball around a little bit. I don't even care. It's not against good teams, and they don't have the secondary that even our guys could get open. I still think it ups the confidence level just for Riley Leonard and these guys to be able to throw it around a little bit. Leonard, 10 of 13, 148, 2 touchdowns. That's a good day for Notre Dame. Like for his passing numbers or whatever, that's a good day. 273 on the ground. Love is just a freak. Williams, Jadarian, just you love what you see. You love what you see there. Defensively, I mean, you gave up 207 yards rushing them. It really doesn't feel like it at all. And that's low for them anyways. But you're like 200. That feels a little weird. Well, they only had 26 yards passing. So every single yard they had on offense pretty much had to be from the rush game. And you know what else, too? I'm going to say this. God bless Army's quarterback. That dude is going to be so sore in the morning. We were hitting him so hard on every single play. That guy's going to be so incredibly sore in the morning. God bless him. Like doing the Army thing with his life track and whatever. I wish that guy the best because we were laying the wood. We were laying the hood. Now, the wood. Listen, great day for Notre Dame. Great win. Light at the end of the tunnel. Win one more game. You're hosting a playoff game. Everything's on track just the way we want it to be. If you had a couple complaints, you can't get through any of this with no complaints. Couple of the early penalties, you don't want to see that. You know what? Their touchdown drive they had early, we had like 2 or 3 penalties. 30 yards at least we gave them and they scored. You don't like that. On the goal line, nobody likes. You knew they were going to crash everybody they had in the middle of the line. So why are we running it right into that when you don't need to do that to score because we're faster than them? And if you get the ball to Love or any of these guys on the edge, they could make the sideline and get in the end. Like you didn't need to run north-south into 1 million bodies to be able to score there. So there's some frustration there. And then here's the other thing. This field goal kicking thing, it's not a big deal at all until it's the biggest deal in the world. That's what I'm saying about it. It's not a big deal at all till it's the biggest game, the biggest thing in the world. These games have not been close. It has not mattered if Notre Dame makes or misses these kicks for most of this season after week 2. It might start mattering. And you cannot get in a playoff situation where you have no trust or faith in your field goal kicking unit at all, and it blows the season for you. I'm going to blow a gasket. You can't have it. So if you get through USC victoriously, then you have a few weeks to be able to see if Jeter gets healthier and more confident, or you find somebody else, or I'm not kidding, you say to Mikey Denbrock, we have no faith and no trust in this. If we get into field goal range, plan on having 3rd and 4th down to get a first down or a touchdown. We have no trust in this kick, and this is all too important. I would rather trust you to dial up 2 winning plays than any of our guys to kick right now. Since Jeter got hurt, I think they're 4 of 10 or 4 of 11. None of them are even close. They tried 2 guys the other day, Jeter this week. They're not even close. You can't even be like, oh man, it hit off the crossbar. They're not even close at all. It's just bad. And then you got one blocked. Like the whole operation has no confidence. Everybody else on this team puts in their blood, sweat, and tears, risks head injury, CTE, death every time they go out there and lay it on the line. It's offensive to me that these kickers could ruin it all. Nope. Can't allow it. So Marcus might have to protect against it. I've said this before. It's important to know what you have on a football team and what you could trust. It's equally important to know what you don't have and what you can't trust. And what you can't trust is that field goal unit. So you need to figure that out. That is a major concern. Now, the other way to look at this is if that's like one of your top concerns, the rest of the team's doing pretty good. So that's true. And that's accurate. Man, Notre Dame's defense looked fast. And I know it's because they're slow, but it looked like we were fast flying around. These guys got confidence. These guys play hard. They hit. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. But Notre Dame's athletes were just too much on this night. So here's the thing, man. God, Love. He's just so clearly the best athlete. Every time we line up, he's the best athlete on our side and their side. Doesn't matter the team. He's the best athlete. It's amazing. You have all this chaos that happened around the land. We're going to see Alabama dropping out. All this stuff happen. Where does Indiana fall? All this stuff. There's light at the end of the tunnel, man. You are right where you need to be with this full comeback tour. You have one more game to go that should be winnable. You should be able to. I want to believe Notre Dame's defense could choke out USC's offense and do enough to score. Like, it's all on the line, man. You are one win away from reaching your first goal of the season, making the playoff. And I think you're going to be in a favorable position in a hosting seed. All focus needs to be on USC, who is playing right now, by the way. It's what? Late third quarter, fourth quarter, something. It's what? Mid 12-15 here. So they're still playing. I don't know what's going to happen in that game. I hope our fan base dives in fully this week. I understand the hesitancy for a lot of this year, and I had it too. And we've been on the razor's edge and uncomfortable with some of this. And week 2 took the wins out of the sails, whatever. They're back. They are earned our trust back and won all these games, and they're not even close. And now they have one more, and they're going to be right where we all wanted them to be. So everybody needs to get on board and be loud and be proud, and let's get after it. You have one more. You have one more game. One. That's all you need. One. And it's full redemption. One more game. And you're reaching your goals. This is going to be an exciting week, folks. Enjoy it. Don't forget to check out the merchandise. The link is in the description. You can browse and carouse all the different Always Irish gear. Make sure you head over there and get something for the next tailgate. Thanks for being here.